It is finally chain sprocket, another sprocket. Chain and sprocket set time. Whatever, you know what I mean. We're putting chains and sprockets on. Just got back from doing a top speed run on the stock 15 tooth sprocket, and now I'm throwing on a 14 tooth, keeping with the stock rear teeth of 38, and then going to a gold 428 X-ring chain. Paid a little bit more for the chain, mainly just for golds and X-rings, because I don't think I'll ride a ton on the Grom, and the longer intervals on the X-ring chain might be kind of nice. And it was only like 20 bucks more. So we're going to do that. I'm going to pull the wheel off and we will get to sprocketing from there. Actually, before we take the rear wheel off, we're going to take off the chain. Motion Pro, love them for a lot of things. There's a part number if you want it. Makes a chain clip tool. Basically, it's a pair of pliers with one end longer than the other, and then a little space for the rivets on the inside. Basically, you put the longer end at the base of the chain clip, and then the shorter end should go towards the rivet. And presto, your chain clip's off. No fighting it. Real easy. Pull that apart. And ta-da! Our gross chain is off. All right, now I'm gonna pull the rear wheel off. Okay, I have the tire's nice and warm. I just got back from a ride. I have the tire on blocks of wood so that it's not touching the wheel, it's not touching the brake disc on the other side. And we are going to pull this rotor off. The stock bolts are 17s, and I will try and make this as quiet in the video as possible. I'm sorry in advance. Okay, those are all off. It is attached to this push drive, so trying to take those off by hand, it's a little difficult, and they have the like self-locking grooves in there too. So those can be a pain, but we were taking that off. Yeah. I also bought, because I am extra like that, some black nuts from Superlite. I bought all of my sprocket and chain as a kit from Sprocket Center online. They are great. I have used them for all my sprockets. Yeah, literally all my sprockets that I've ever bought. I take that back. All my sets of sprockets I've ever bought have come from there, so that is great. Oh, torque wrench. The manual calls for 47 foot-pounds on these, which is quite a lot, especially when you are taking into account that you're driving against this cush drive. So good luck getting to that 47. I'm also taking into account that I'm using a little bit smaller flank, or smaller nut. These are actually a 14 socket, where the ones that I just took off are a 17. So the Honda original ones are a little oversized. It's just interesting, I guess. So we're gonna diamond pattern these for a little bit. All right, now we're going to start the actual torquing. Let me see if I can't. You could probably just ugga-dugga a couple times and call it good. Clearly, I'm not about that life most of the time. I'm just twisting this out. Hey, there's one. 2, 3, 4. Okay, and one last thing before I put this back on. I am a fiend for marking my nuts. So I'm going to do that see, we'll just go across the flats there. Cool, now I should know at a quick glance if any of these move, since they are slightly different than the stock. All right, on to the front sprocket. The front sprocket is also pretty easy. There are two 8mm bolts holding this cover plate in. Take those off. From there, you have two 10mm, and this spins, which makes it real fun to actually try and turn it. These are pretty low torque, so what I did is I just kicked it down into first, and kicked it down into first. There we go. And that kept it from spinning on me. I wouldn't recommend that. If you do this before you take the chain off, you can actually use the rear brake to keep it from moving as the chain keeps it. But little trick, I would not use an impact or anything while you have it in gear. That is asking for trouble. So we will take those off. I really like this pink paint pen. I might need to get me one. I will say though, I do love that Honda actually marks their fasteners. Okay, and then you should be able to rotate it, take that plate off. Let's see, most stamp pieces like this have a smooth side and a non-smooth side. So this one is sharp, this one's smooth. For me, smooth was towards the engine. We will take our current sprocket off. 15 tooth. Oops. And then we're going to put our 14 tooth back on. So 428 is a little thicker, and you'll notice there's this cutout that goes towards the engine. So your writing should be towards you. Actually, before I do that, where did I put it? I'm gonna put just a tiny amount of anti-seize in here. Probably is fine without it, but I've had enough sprockets get jammed on me that it is now just habit to kind of cake the inside splines just a little bit. So it doesn't need a ton, but just so it doesn't seize under constant heating and cooling, you know. Okay, now that that is on there nice and good, plate back on, and we will get our bolts back in. It always weirded me out how, so like my BMW doesn't have one of these small plates on it. It just is a direct bolt-in socket, or sprocket, not socket, sprocket. These little plates, how loose they are, is always just weird to me. The torque value on these bolts holding it in is only 9 foot-pounds, so that is like hand tight plus a little. You want to do it evenly so that your sprocket's even on there, but I call that about 9 foot-pounds. And then, like I do, going to remark these. And I'll put the cover back on, and then we're gonna do chain. Okay, let's start working on chain. So we are going to feed through there. If I had done this the smart way, I would have zip tied the two chains together and done this all in a much better order. But that much better order didn't make much sense for the order in which I wanted to film things. So I made life more difficult for myself. Back up into neutral. So we're gonna feed it through the hard way. Like I said, this is a 428 chain. So same pitch, which means hopefully same number of links, but is a good deal thicker. Should be 1/8 of an inch thicker, 1/4 of an inch thicker. I don't know. I forget how the numbering works, but good deal thicker, which is usually nice when you're making more power, but for me, that extra thickness means that we have O-rings or X-rings and can do a little bit less maintenance on the chain itself. So something this low horsepower, we are also going to go with a clip link because again, we don't need it to be extra. So we are going to put our X-rings on, a little grease packet, grease up the inside nub a little bit. Really hoping I don't have to bring out my press tool. I hate using that thing. It was really nice that the stock chain was so new that I didn't have to press it, but again, we will see. Okay. Squeeze a little bit more schmoo on there. One other thing I'll note that I did is I went through and I cleaned this real good before I put it on. These shipped with a lot of heavy like grease and oil on it to prevent corrosion, and it's just completely unnecessary for what we're doing. On this one, you want the little numbers on the plate to actually face out. So we'll do that. And we're gonna need our press. Okay, I'm gonna go get my press stuff together. Okay, just finished pressing my plate on real quick. This is a cheapo one. Basically, you lock it around the chain and then you can press the two sides of the plates together using this center piece there, and it just squishes it all nice and tight because we want to be able to feel, sorry, this one, the little indents on each of the posts there, because that is what our master link clips into, and it is driving this way. We want it to go this direction. Come on, you little shit. There we go. Okay, again, use our Motion Pro pliers. Nice and wide. Our thick end goes on the post. Or, sorry, our skinny end goes on the post, and our long end goes on the clip. Even with the right tool, this sucks. There we go. Okay, that is good to go. Now I'm just gonna set my chain slack and pop my cover back on, and we will hit the highway. I wanted to give you all a quick close-up on using this Motion Pro tool. So like I said, there's a thick end and a thin end. What you can do is just put the, not thick, tall and short end. So put the short end on the inside, and the tall end will actually be the one hitting your clip. And if I can hold everything in frame at once, that's how you do it. So then reverse for putting it back on. Put that on there. You got your short side on the post. Long side on the clip, and it's that easy. I did it a little bit of a dumbass way when I was doing it, but that's the right way you're supposed to do it. It's the little details. And gotta laugh that we add one more different shade of gold, but that's all right. Blacked out sprocket looks sweet. Gold chain looks sweet. Don't forget about those man-in-the-box spacers we put in and the TST Industries solid adjusters from the last video. And yeah, gotta love all the angles I have to do to try and get the bike in frame with me. I'm gonna go give it a ride, and you can see that in the next video where I compare my top speed with this 14 tooth front sprocket and the new chain, which is admittedly a little heavier, versus the stock 15 tooth, and we will see how that ends up. But I'm gonna go try and get this ride done before it starts raining on me. So I'll see you in the next video. Well, bad news. It is currently storming and raining and Sunday afternoon, so might have to wait a week for the 14 tooth versus 15 tooth sprocket video, because I'm not going out in this right now. It is gusty and pouring, so hopefully you can wait, and see you then. I really need to write down what I want to say in these. One more thing worth mentioning. Where your speed's driven from isn't actually the wheel. Your ABS is, but also it senses off of your sprocket speed rather than your wheel speed. So your speedometer is going to be off if you go to a 14 tooth. I did buy a 12 o'clock labs speedo DRD speedometer calibrator, and probably after the comparison video we'll do an install and calibration setup video on that one. So if that interests you, get subscribed, like the videos, do all that YouTube-y stuff. It seems silly, but it does help, and I'd appreciate it. So see you on the next one. Bye.